Okay, everybody, this is injera. It's made of very small grain called teff. It's very nice, very nutritious. So what we do is we cut the injera like this and we stretch it. We put it like this. Wow, it's a fantastic chiro. Very nice.
Food is Dr. Milliam Belay's personal passion, and it's also the focus of his work.
The thinking now around food production is that the way the system is operating now is not sustainable, it's destroying the biosphere. What motivates me to do research is to really understand what's happening at the local level, to help me convince the government, the Egyptian government, so that the food system in the future is better for the people and also for the environment.
Like many African countries, Ethiopia is changing quickly. The population is increasing, the cities are expanding, and the way food is grown and produced is shifting towards using more chemicals to increase productivity. At the same time, the climate is becoming drier and hotter. As a resilience researcher and an Ethiopian, Milliam wants to rethink the way food systems are developed so that his country can find its own unique way to thrive for generations to come, in a way that is just and sustainable, and able to respond to a world full of uncertainty and rapid changes, in a way that goes beyond the government's focus on increasing food production. Milliam and a team of researchers are on a scoping mission.
We are now at the Gambela regional state. The Gambela regional state is divided into 3 zones. One of the zones is called Majang. It's where the Majang people live, the indigenous peoples of Majang.
The region has both mountains and lowlands, and a lot of rivers run into Majang.
Because of this altitudinal difference, you get a lot of vegetation. This is like grassland, as you can see, this is a grassland, but as you go up, you reach at the mountains. This is very much mountainous. And the area is very, very, very good for a lot of fruits, and especially coffee. Because it's very good for coffee, there is a lot of pressure by investors and by settlers to come here and clear the forest to plant coffee.
70% of the area is still forest, but Ethiopians from other parts of the country, mainly the highlands, have been migrating to Majang and settling there in growing numbers since the 1990s. As more land is cleared for agriculture, there is a higher risk of arid conditions because there are fewer trees to cool the air, regulate atmospheric moisture, and anchor the soil.
We're here to start the study of the food system of the local community, the Mangashi people and the people who have settled here. So we'll have a transect walk with the local community. The purpose of today is basically to understand the landscape and to walk it and feel it. It is very much important that you mix with the people in a very informal way when you arrive. Because when you enter into a community, it's very much important that you don't start right away asking people. I think you have to take time to talk to people. Now we are passing through a village called Gorai. And now as we are passing, I was asking some questions. For example, I saw people walking with sweet potato. And I've asked whether that's for the market, and they say, no, somebody has died here. So they are transporting that sweet potato to that house so that they support that family to entertain guests.
Anecdotes and stories flow out as they walk and reveal subtle, more domestic details about close relationships in the community and the area's history.
And as you can see, there's a lot of mango trees in this village. And they are basically both for consumption, but mainly for the market.
An American missionary introduced the mango trees in the 1950s. Their presence in this landscape and in the local economy is a reminder of past development interventions that have lasting effects today.
And I was asking also whether I see some trees in the farm, some big trees. And my question is why are they leaving them like that? It's to attract rain. So they leave a big tree in the midst of the farms. According to the traditional knowledge of the farmers in this community, and others I have visited, tall trees attract rainfall. So even if the land is cleared, they leave a few standing. Sometimes I've got to put aside my question and face the unexpected parts of the research process. Lizzie, one of my houses for you. Yes, you know? Walking together, seeing and learning about the place where people live leads to a more nuanced and sensitive understanding about the past and the present.
Resilience science puts the interwoven relationships between humans and nature at its core. Seeing the world in this way, perceiving and understanding the complex network of connections between people, place, and environment offers up new and different approaches to development. A resilience approach to development measures the success of society less in terms of economic growth and more in terms of working within the boundaries of our biosphere. Agriculture has grown from the collaboration between humans and nature for thousands of years and can demonstrate how resilience works in practice. Million visits a Majang farmer to find out what they grow and how they grow it. Most importantly, the researchers want to understand the relationship between farmer and forest, to assess how it can cope in a changing climate and if the pressure to produce more food continues. The farmers explain their practice of rotation farming. The men clear a plot and burn it, and the women plant maize and other crops, including sweet potato, cabbage, and fruits. After the harvest, they leave the land to fallow for 3 years and farm another plot. In between rotations, the forest grows back.
Another thing is like fruits, banana, moody, you are yellow. Yeah, the coffee is the banana. What is it? I take cake, cut it on cut and go like a key, like a key, naggy, a cake and carry, naggy. I just say, no, dead of wood, they are dead egg. Dead up.
my reaction is that within this small, less than 1 hectare of land, 14 varieties of food grown by a single family. So there is diversity. I think if you want to increase food production for this community, probably, you can advise them on some techniques of farming, on how to farm them, how to space them out. But after understanding what they are doing, for me this is a perfect agroecological land.
Apart from salt and cooking oil, the farmers grow everything they need without using artificial fertilizers. And their system of rotation farming maintains the fertility of the soil. Whilst it works for this family, in this community, for now, what will happen when these children, and all the others in communities like these, grow up and need to clear more land for agriculture?
The composition of the community is also changing because there are settlers coming in. So there are some number of settlers who are living here. They bring with themselves, food practices, different food practices, different construction of houses, different sorts of behavior. I think you can see changes coming. You can feel changes coming. It's changing fast and changing in a big way.
At one time, the intimate, local realities didn't reach far beyond the forest. Likewise, faraway events had little influence on Majang. Now, the impact of climate change and global trade, such as the demand for coffee, connect this community to the rest of the world.
Previously, they were governing themselves. The governance system is changing. The hands of the federal government, regional government would be reaching much more here. That connectivity and that forms of governance also would have a huge impact. The governance system would be tightened and there would be one rule, one way of thinking, one way of acting.
Now that the researchers have a picture of the whole system, social and ecological, they introduce a practical tool to help find sustainable pathways that are tailored to this culture and this environment. Social learning processes like drawing maps help people to bring together their collective knowledge about the place where they live and visualize it. The community has never done anything like this before. In the past, development initiatives were introduced by international organizations or by the national government. It takes a while for the participants to take center stage themselves, as experts who can guide Million and his team to learn more about the changes they are experiencing in the community.
In mapping, it's not face-to-face interaction mostly. They externalize it through the colors that they put on the map. And it will allow them to speak about anything that they want to speak without feeling inhibited.
Gradually, the elders share memories. The history they bring to the surface has shaped the present, and it helps the younger men and women add their own experiences and make comparisons with the past. Over a few days, participants work together to mobilize all of their shared knowledge, including details about the location of medicinal plants, the animal species they used to hunt, and where new houses have been built. They draw two maps, one of the village in the 1960s and one of the village now. The contrast between them is striking. In the present map, the villages have expanded. Land has been cleared for growing food crops for the larger population. There are fewer wild animals. The message from the maps that they themselves have created is loud and clear. If things continue in the same way, the Majang risk losing more forest.
I think the most important thing is they can visualize the change that's happening in their community. They can come together and talk about it. So if you really open this kind of discussions quite a lot and open people's eyes to the change that's going to happen, maybe you can help them to navigate through this change quite in a much more informed way.
A few months later, the Majang forest is registered as a UN Biosphere Reserve, an area for humans and nature to develop together. The biosphere status connects the local community to a global community, testing new knowledge and practical approaches to sustainable development. Now it's time for the community to define what kind of development they want for future generations.
This generation knows about the forest, but that care, that relationship, and that also looking at the children, the future, is eroding because of the increasing economic activity.
The final part of the mapping process is to display the maps so that others in the community, as well as the local government, can gather around a shared vision of the past and the present.
በ30 በ20 በ30 ዓመት ውስጥ ከፍተኛ ለውጥ ነው የምታዩት። ቅድም እንዳልናችሁ ይሄ የጎደሬ ወንዝ ነው። ከከተማ የሚመጣው መንገድ ሄዶ እዚህ ጋር ድልድይ ጋር ይደርሳል። ይሄን ነግሯቸዋል። I'm feeling it that I think the maps have done what they were supposed to do. The maps have talked to them. And they say that what you're doing now is not right, so if you don't stop, you may find yourself, both socially and ecologically, into unwanted territory. Forest is our identity. We are Majang, the people of Jang, because of the forest. So if the forest is gone, then we lose our identity. I'm feeling a little bit hopeful, but a little bit also fearful, because I've participated in a lot of conversation like this. People would say, we'll do this, we'll do that, and end of the day, it doesn't come. So which shows that there should be a continuous engagement from our end also with the local process, the local community.
Yo, 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 yo. Yo,